So what is contagious teaching? We get that question all the time. Contagious teaching is really the specific sets of practices that through our research of looking at different observation and evaluation models from across the country are specific things that teachers can do to become master teachers. See, our question was really, what really makes a master teacher? A teacher that students really not only learn from, but want to learn from. We wanted to unpack that. So when we looked at different observation and evaluation models, our goal was to see, okay, the models will tell us, but in fact, the models really didn't tell us. They just gave us the outcomes. But so in looking at those outcomes, what we decided to do was compare and contrast those outcomes from one model to another, whether it was Charlotte Danielson, 5D, Madeline Hunter, Marizano. We looked at a lot of different models. But what we discovered is that there were more similarities than there were differences, in that all of them were pointing to their model of what it means to be that apex teacher, that teacher that had the it factor, or what Jacob Kuhnen talks in his research as the with it teacher, the teacher that just had it. So what we begin to do is look at all these different things that were the same, compare the similarities and categorize them. And then we wanted to create a roux, if you will. For those of you that are from the South and eat gumbo, the roux is really the flavor that brings all the different flavors together. And so contagious teaching is the roux that compares all of these different models to say, here are the similarities, and here are the practices, and here are the strategies that if teachers did these things specifically and consistently, then they will become a master teacher. Here are the 4 things that we saw that was very consistent in all the different models. We saw, first thing we talked about was connection. Connection had to do with the foundation of building a relationship, that master teachers first build a strong bond with students in order to get them to learn from them in high levels. The second thing we noticed was a strong consistency with respect to what we call context, or culturally responsiveness. In other words, the ability for that teacher to read the room, unpack the students that they teach, and then use the context of those students in their content. And what we notice, regardless of the observation evaluation models, is that teachers that consistently do that invariably build a different set of ownership among those students, in that the students actually not only saw themselves in the content, but actually wanted to own the content at a higher level because the teacher read the room, if you will. The next thing that we notice is that with respect to the explicit instruction, what we call content, the content was very, very specific to what students actually needed to learn. And so in this particular part of our training, what we really emphasize is getting teachers away from quantity of instruction and focusing on quality of instruction, and the benefits of focus on quality of instruction so that students will buy into the learning at a higher level. Finally, the last thing that we saw that was very consistent in all of these models was what we call containment. It was the ask of the teacher to increase engagement and what we call in our training called closing the lid. So when we talk about closing the lid, we're talking about the fact that the more that you engage students in kinesthetic learning and move away from sit and get instruction with respect to lecture, reading, and audio visuals, and move into actionable engagement, that the brain retains the knowledge at a much higher level, according to the research, at a level of 2 to 3 times more than actual lecture style. And so what we have done in this framework, what we call the Contagious Teaching framework, and also the Contagious Teaching coaching opportunity that many school districts are taking advantage of, is the opportunity to reframe and restructure and help teachers change the way they execute their instruction in a way that actually benefits the students that they serve. And so we're very happy that Contagious Teaching is our way of saying to teachers that if you do these specific sets of practices on a consistent basis, you will become a contagious teacher.